But what happens when the music gets too loud, and the winds howl with a ferocity that can topple even the sturdiest of structures? I mean, it's a pretty dramatic question, right? But hey, if you're an engineering student looking up at these massive, super tall skyscrapers, this isn't just poetry. This is literally the high-stakes battle you're signing up for. Because the higher we push into the sky, the crazier the physics get. We're constantly fighting this invisible, relentless enemy.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're not just looking at structural control as some dry math problem on a whiteboard. We're going to treat it like a cinematic detective story. We're going to see exactly how engineers diagnose the invisible forces of the wind and how they design these brilliant, hidden mechanisms to keep super tall structures standing tall. And honestly, more importantly, how they keep the people inside totally oblivious to the raging storms outside. So let's dive right into it.
Okay, before we can solve the problem, we really need to understand the true threat here. In engineering, we talk a lot about the serviceability limit state. Now, obviously, we don't want our buildings to fall down. I mean, that's the absolute bare minimum, right? But raw strength is actually kind of a secondary consideration in this specific context. You see, long before a building actually fails structurally, wind-induced sway can do some serious damage. We're talking broken windows, cracked tiles, and worst of all, extreme occupant nausea. If you're on the 60th floor, the sway can cause severe disorientation. And nobody wants to feel seasick sitting at their desk or, trying to relax in their own living room. We aren't just engineering for basic survival anymore. We're engineering for human comfort.
So what is the wind actually doing to cause this terrifying wobble? Well, as wind whips around a large flat building, it creates these little whirlwinds on the opposite side. We call this vortex shedding. These vortices detach, right? One after the other, from one side and then the other, creating this really violent rhythmic push-pull effect. Now, if that rhythm perfectly matches the building's natural sway, well, it's just like pushing a kid on a swing at the exact right millisecond. Even a tiny little gust of wind can suddenly be amplified into a catastrophic rhythmic wobble.
And as if the outside wind wasn't enough of a headache, there's actually a hidden enemy lurking deep inside the structure itself. Once a skyscraper begins to yield to the wind and sways to the side, its own colossal weight suddenly plays a completely different, really dangerous role. This is known as the P-delta effect. P stands for the vertical load, right? The enormous weight of the building itself, and delta is the displacement, or basically how far it's leaning. So suddenly, the very gravity that is meant to hold the building firmly down starts working against you. It's literally trying to push the building completely over. Okay, so to tame these massive forces, we first have to capture them. Way before a single piece of structural steel hits the sky, engineers head straight to the lab. They build these incredibly accurate scale models and put them in massive boundary layer wind tunnels. And you can't just blast a fan at it, that doesn't work. You have to meticulously test the model in 36 different azimuthal wind directions. You even have to recreate the upwind terrain, like simulating how the wind behaves rolling over a smooth lake versus how it aggressively breaks across a dense, jagged city block, all just to get a perfect aerodynamic profile.
Take a look at this. This is a stunning 1/500 scale aeroelastic model of the Burj Dubai, which, we now call the Burj Khalifa. It's sitting right inside one of these massive boundary layer wind tunnels. It's essentially a miniature, perfectly calibrated duplicate of the real massive tower. And by studying this miniature version, engineers realized something amazing. They could actually confuse the wind. By mathematically altering the shape of the building's wings and setbacks, they completely disrupted those dangerous rhythmic vortices we just talked about. They literally solved a massive aerodynamic problem through pure architectural geometry.
Now, the crucial part here is understanding exactly how we extract data from these tunnels. Engineers generally rely on two primary methods. First, you've got the high-frequency force balance, or HFFB method. This uses a completely rigid model mounted on a force balance to quickly measure shear forces and bending moments. It's fast, it's useful, but then you have the aeroelastic method. This uses a flexible model that physically bends and sways in the wind tunnel, perfectly matching the full-scale building's stiffness and mass. Aeroelastic testing is way more complex, but as you can see, it's pretty much the only way to accurately simulate the building's own aerodynamic damping. It gives engineers the exact, highly specific dynamic response statistics they need to make these big calls.
Let's actually see how this plays out in the real world, with a really fascinating case study. What you're looking at is a 1/500 scale model of Chicago's Park Tower during its wind tunnel testing phase. It is a gorgeous 67-story condominium and hotel. But here's the catch. Because it's tall, extremely slender, and primarily residential, it faced a massive threat. People living in residential towers are highly sensitized to motion. I mean, they're trying to sleep. They're not just working at a desk. This super slender profile made excessive upper floor acceleration an absolute mathematical nightmare for the structural engineers.
Just how much of a nightmare, you ask? Well, try 23 milli-G. That was the predicted peak acceleration of the upper floors of the park tower during a typical wind event. To put that into perspective for you, the globally accepted criteria for human comfort in a residential building like this is around 15 milli-G. So 23 milli-G, that is way over the line. At that level, the building is totally failing its serviceability limit state. People are absolutely getting dizzy up there.
So when the engineers dug into the wind tunnel data to figure out why this was happening, they found a massive anomaly. They spotted a huge spike in the base overturning moment right between the 10-degree and 40-degree wind directions. And the smoking gun? The upwind buildings in Chicago were actually acting like a giant funnel. They were channeling and amplifying the wind directly into the park tower. It's wild to think about, but the surrounding city itself was basically weaponizing the wind against this new skyscraper.
So what do? Could they just, thicken the floor slabs to add raw mass? They modeled it. What about deepening the spandrel beams to increase stiffness? Yep, they tried that too. But the wind was just too strong. These brute force structural measures reduced the effects a little bit, but nowhere near enough to get down to that safe 15 milli-G threshold. Plus, if they forced any more structural changes, it would have completely ruined the elegant, slender architecture of the tower. They hit a wall.
They realized pretty quickly they had to totally abandon the brute force approach. Instead of trying to stubbornly fight the wind with stiff rigidity, they decided to orchestrate the building's movement. They needed an elegant solution to supplement the building's own structural damping. Basically, they needed what engineers like to call a master conductor, something to gently guide the movement of the entire system and bring it back into perfect harmony.
Which brings us to a really massive fork in the road for structural control. Do you use active or passive damping? Think about active systems for a second. They use highly complex sensors and powered mechanisms to actively fight the sway. But honestly, do you really want your building's primary structural defense system relying on the city's power grid right in the middle of a massive hurricane? Probably not. Plus, they come with insane engineering costs and really complex maintenance. So, the park tower engineers made the brilliant choice to go with the completely passive system. It's an autonomous, maintenance-free design driven entirely by the reliable, unwavering laws of physics.
Their solution was this, a massive tuned mass damper, or a TMD, secretly hidden away in the mechanical levels right at the top of the tower. We are talking about a 300-ton rectangular mass block, suspended by these paired pendulum cables. It's so elegant. When the wind aggressively pushes the building one way, this immense 300-ton mass naturally swings in the exact opposite direction, effectively canceling out the vibration. And to keep this giant swinging block under control, they utilized hermetically sealed, frictionless hydraulic dampers. And the physics going on here is absolute genius. While most simple dampers act linearly, take a close look at the nonlinear curve in this force velocity data. As the building's sway accelerates during a massive storm, the resistance from these hydraulic dampers doesn't just increase steadily, it ramps up exponentially. This beneficially absorbs the most severe wind shocks, completely preventing that 300-ton mass from swinging too far and just violently bottoming out against the building's structural frame.
And as you can see, the result is incredibly dramatic. Without the TMD, that predicted acceleration was dangerously high. But with this massive hidden pendulum installed, the acceleration completely plummets, dropping safely below that 15 milli-G criteria. The engineers successfully tamed the wind, guaranteeing that the residents of the park tower could sleep soundly through even the absolute worst Chicago storms. It's a huge win.
But the park tower is really just one victory in an endless, ongoing campaign. Understanding and mastering these complex, hidden physics like aeroelastic damping and the P-delta effect, it isn't just about solving today's engineering problems. It's literally what unlocks the next level for us. It's what gives us the confidence to design unbelievable structures like the Jeddah Tower, aiming for over a kilometer high. Our whole quest to build up into the sky is this constant, incredible dance with nature. So, as you study these immense structures and prepare to push the limits of human engineering even further, ask yourself, what hidden force is waiting for us up there next? Keep learning, keep looking up, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.